Over the past decade, the craft beer industry has boasted some pretty impressive feats of growth. It seems like every time I turn a corner, I'm discovering another new amazing tap room. There are nearly 7,500 craft breweries in the US, 1,000 open in 2018 alone. Those breweries now directly employ over 150,000 Americans and affect well over 500,000 jobs. Small breweries boasted $76 billion in sales in 2018, an 11% increase over 2016, with 5% overall sales growth in that same year. The trend is no different here. There were 35 craft breweries in Minnesota in 2011 when the Surly Law was passed. Today, we're approaching 200. That is some amazing growth in this industry over a very short period of time. The Twin Cities are the epicenter for Minnesota craft breweries. There are so many new and iconic tap rooms here that it can be overwhelming, even for beer lovers. We'll be getting intimate with a handful of them over the course of this series. And with so many legendary destinations to choose from, there's no way we can go wrong. So gather around the bar with me as I talk to these incredibly talented brewers about how this stuff is made. We're going to find out what all this hype is about and get to the bottom of a few cold ones. Let's all make a toast to the craft. Today we are headed to Bauhaus Brew Labs. We are brewing in Northeast Minneapolis, another industrial area of town. The space that Bauhaus is in used to be a steel factory that produced airplane wings during World War II, among other things. Bauhaus was founded by two brothers, Mike and Matt Schwant, and members of their family. Each family member has their own role and function, so it brings a little balance to the business. I've never been, but I can sense that it's already a creative hub and something really special is going on there. Let's check it out. First of all, this beautiful historic building is the perfect venue to house a brewery. It's clear that the Schwant brothers really curated the whole picture here. This complex is rounded out with a parking lot that gets overhauled every summer for one of the biggest block parties of the season. Let's find out more inside. Hi, Matt.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Diana.
Diana, so nice to meet you.
To meet you too. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure.
Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. How do you get any brewing done? It's so gorgeous.
It's tough, yeah. We do have a pretty tight schedule around here, though.
Yeah? Are you brewing something now?
We are, yeah. Actually, we're brewing our flagship Pilsner. It's Wonder Stuff. For 5 years, it's been our top seller, and it's my favorite of our Bauhaus beers.
Ooh. Okay, I'll have to try that later.
Yeah.
Make a note of that.
For sure.
Oh my God. I love this mural.
Thank you.
Can you talk to me about that?
So local artists did this last July as part of our 5th anniversary celebration. Just killed it. But these are all the words that really inspire us as people and as a brewery. And we hope that it's inspiring for the people who come in here and enjoy a beer in our tap room. So we opened our doors July 2014, and 5 years later, we're one of the top volume producing breweries in Minnesota, and we have this wonderful piece to commemorate that by.
Oh my God. Wow, so this is brand new, basically.
Yeah, it's really new. Yeah.
Well, I cannot wait to explore.
Yeah, well, let's show you around.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Look at this. Wow. Matt, tell me about Bauhaus. How did it get started?
Well, you got to go back quite a ways if you want to know the whole story.
Okay.
It kind of all started when I was a guitar player in Nashville, Tennessee in the late 90s. And I was going to college, playing gigs at night, but I was also bartending at a really great award-winning brew pub called Bosco's. And it was super inspiring to learn about craft beer at a time when most of my college buddies were still drinking the really light, macro, cheap stuff. So it was like this whole new world opened up into these really amazing craft beer styles that I never knew existed. I didn't know beer could taste so good. And like, I used to think the homebrewers that would kind of come in there and gather like once a month with their little club, I thought that was like, oh, you can't make great beer at home, no way. But as it turns out, my first batch tasted pretty good. And after that, I was hooked. And so I spent about 10 years brewing every style I could possibly think of. And then probably about halfway through that period, I started to really focus on German lager styles. which sort of was the inspiration for our beer lineup here at Bauhaus. We're predominantly a lager brewery, German-inspired lagers. So that's kind of where it all came from, was this falling in love with craft beer at this great brew pub in Nashville in about 1999. Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah.
You're originally from here. You were a musician. Do you still play?
I still play. We still have actually some pretty big events here at the tap room in the summer. We have a big outdoor stage, a lot of bands, and we're kind of a house band. It's my brother's band. It's one of the coolest cover bands you'll ever see. They're called Viva Knievel. And I used to play with those guys, but you know, the business kind of takes my time away from that, so I'm not playing a whole lot anymore other than in my basement.
It's a bummer that you can't be in a cool band because you're running a cool brewery.
Right, yeah, yeah.
That seems like an okay trade-off.
It's an okay trade-off, yeah.
So your brother's in the business too?
Right, we're actually a big family business. It's me, my 2 younger brothers, my wife, 2 sisters-in-law, and my father-in-law. My wife and I sort of co-manage the entire business. My brother Mark is one of our sales reps. My brother Mike actually still works a full-time job at a really great ad agency here in Minneapolis, but he contributes a lot to our marketing and sales team, and a lot of our communication strategies come out of his head.
Oh yes, your social media, the
Yeah.
fun video. You guys have some fun videos. Can you
Yeah.
tell me about that process?
Yeah, so when we started the brewery, you know, we kind of wanted to shift the paradigm of what craft beer can be. And we wanted everything from our brand visuals to the way we communicate with our customers to feel like it wasn't just a traditional craft beer brand. So we kind of stepped outside that space and decided, you know what, let's be content creators as well as brewers. So we started doing these promotional videos to promote the beers we were coming out with. And they kind of escalated rather quickly. You know, we had aerialists performing in some of these videos, inspired by a Jean-Claude Van Damme commercial years ago, you know, where he does the splits on the semis.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, so we did sort of our version of that, except it was doing the splits between pallets on 2 forklifts.
Of which you have many,
Right,
probably.
right. And then most recently, sort of the biggest video production we ever did was about a year ago when we did a shot-for-shot remake of the opening sequence for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh my God.
To promote the switchover from one of our beers going from being in bottles to cans. And so instead of the golden idol on the platform, it was a bottle being switched with a can.
Oh
And-
my God.
Yeah, and it was actually a pretty long commercial, but we ended up winning best commercial in one of the local newspapers, you know, in the entire year, not just in a brewing category, but overall.
Oh my God.
So that was a pretty exciting,
Wow.
accolade to get from some of our video work.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Now what is this word?
That's Gemütlichkeit.
Ah.
Yeah, very German word.
Okay.
Actually, a Bavarian word that doesn't really have a direct English translation. It's more of a sense of community and good feeling and celebrating the fruits of our labors together.
Absolutely.
And it's sort of like the core tenet of our brand is this sense of inclusivity and celebration together. That and some of the tenets of the Bauhaus School, which of course is where we take our name from.
Yes. So tell me about the connection to the name. Is this a school that you attended or a school that inspired you?
It definitely inspired us. So the Bauhaus School existed in pre-World War II Germany, and you know, they got shut down when a certain party came to power, and they all fled. But these were some really awesome, progressive, artistic thinkers that came under this umbrella of this philosophy that work, play, and celebration should all be intertwined, and that form should follow function. And what they meant by that was that things can be artfully crafted and beautiful as well as functional. And so we sort of co-opted those themes into our craft beer brand. That's why our beers are designed to be more low ABV, sessionable, celebratory beers that are artfully crafted but approachable for the everyday beer drinker. So
That's just lovely.
Yeah, it was, I mean, what a phenomenal group of people to inspire us. I mean, these were truly visionary people at the time, and they sort of birthed the modernism movement in art and design that still is pervasive today.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And historically speaking, we are in a building that's very connected to World War II as well. So there are a lot of historical themes
Right.
all under one roof.
Right.
All under one very thick roof.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a concrete roof, believe it or not, that was designed to withstand bombs should the Axis forces get this far inland. Yeah, kind of interesting. So this whole complex used to be a metal foundry, iron foundry, and they used to fabricate, well, during wartime, bridges and airplane wings for the Allied forces. And then as it got into the 70s and 80s, they started focusing more on structural steel A lot of the skyscrapers downtown Minneapolis, this is where that steel was fabricated. The old Metrodome that used to be before US Bank Stadium, a lot of the structural steel was fabricated right here in this building. So
Wow.
pretty inspiring place.
Wow. What is it like brewing beer in a bomb shelter? Are there pros? Are there
Safe.
cons? Yeah, very
It's the
safe.
safest place to brew and drink beer in the entire Twin Cities.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. No, it's actually inspiring for us because I mean obviously it's very industrial in this neighborhood, and you know we're in a manufacturing industry at base, so it feels like we're right at home doing what we do here.
Talk to me about how you created your brand.
Sure. So we wanted to do something different with Bauhaus and change the paradigm of what craft beer brands look like and feel like. And one of the ways that we did that, you know, obviously being inspired by an art school, we knew we had to come out with a bold design for our brand visuals. And so we hired a company in Austin, Texas called Helms Workshop that we were super inspired by. They've done a lot of cool work for other breweries around the country. And we had this singular goal that we were gonna have a can that you could see across a football field. And so you have this bright yellow background and then these like really bold primary color arrows on all the cans that sort of represent a house, but also, you know, just this uplifting idea, you know, surrounding what we're doing, the creativity, sort of the sky's the limit. So that's what the symbolism is there, but it's also like really bold, simple lines inspired by the Bauhaus modernism, you know, and artwork that came out of that school. And we've always sort of prided ourselves on being a little bit more forward thinking in our design. And it's cool to see how, you know, a lot of other breweries have really put themselves out there from a design perspective. I mean, you look at a cooler today in a liquor store, beer cans look vastly different than they did even 4 or 5 years ago. And it's really cool to see that design being pushed to the limit.
For sure.
Because it's a space that craft beer hasn't really played around with up until very recently. And so it's cool to see that happening.
Absolutely. So Matt, what do we have here?
These are some of our flagship beers, one of our specialty releases right now, and our brand new hard seltzer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't wait to try them all, but where should we start?
I think we should start with the flagship Pilsner that I've been talking about, our Wonder Stuff.
Ah.
Yeah, so this is based on a traditional Czech-style Pilsner, which is different from German in that it's a little fuller in the mouthfeel. It doesn't finish so dry. It doesn't have that like lingering hoppiness that a dry German Pils would have. It's a little more balanced between malt and hops.
Okay, now do we say Gemütlichkeit?
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Yeah.
Ja.
Really refreshing, but enough body there for it to stand on its own.
Now, this was the one that you were refining when you were a home brewer?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the one that I was really working on that I'm really proud of, and it's stood the test of time so far.
And it's award-winning.
It is. Yeah, we won a bronze medal at the World Beer Cup in 2016, one of the biggest competitions in the world. And then locally here, the Growler magazine named it Best Lager last year, and they're kind of a big deal awards.
Oh my gosh. Well, Bauhaus is kind of a big deal, so that works out.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we have next?
Next up is an ale. So this is our Lounge Wizard Pale Ale. This is sort of falling in that juicy, hazy pale ale category that's really hot right now. So it's got a distinct haze to it. It's a really hoppy beer, but not bitter hop.
Yeah.
Soft in the mouth, finishes crisp and dry.
Okay, now this next one is gorgeous. I almost don't want to drink it, but I'm gonna drink it.
Yeah, this is a special beer. This is actually the first beer that we've released that's a sour in cans. We're pretty excited about it. It just came out this week.
Oh.
It's called Plum Soul. And it's based on, we tried to approximate the pluot fruit, which is a hybrid between a plum and an apricot.
Yes.
So we used plum and apricot puree, and we aged the beer on that, and then we soured it. So you have this like nice light lactic sour quality.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Give it a sniff. Ooh.
Yeah, just lightly tart. This was sort of a test run of how we do sours at Bauhaus, and we think that this one is turning out pretty good, so we're excited for the next iteration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how about this?
Yeah, let's move on to what's taking the brewing world by storm right now, hard seltzer. We decided to launch a standalone brand actually called Bolo, B-O-L-O. So that's our brand of hard seltzer, and we wanted to keep the flavors pretty simple, but flavors that people like. So we have cherry, lime, mango, and dragon fruit.
Ooh.
Really cool flavors. It drinks exceptionally light. It's almost like a light, like vodka soda with some fruit essence. It's like a seltzer with a kick.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is our lime.
Okay.
And
Ooh.
right up front, you get like this fresh lime juice character, like you've just squeezed a wedge of lime into it.
Wow.
It's really refreshing. You hardly notice there's alcohol in it, which can be dangerous.
Which can be dangerous.
Yeah. But that's also part of the appeal, is that, this is a very non-filling type of beverage that's a great alternative to beer.
Why don't you show me how you make this stuff?
Yeah, come on back.
Okay.
I'll show you around the brewery.
Okay, perfect. This is magnificent.
Thank you. This is what we call our mad science lab back here.
Full of mad scientists.
Right,
I see
exactly.
them.
Mad scientist brewers, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So,
you must have so much production that comes out of here. So much beer must come out of here.
Yeah. We produce about 10,000 barrels a year, but we have the capacity to do about double that. So what you're seeing right here is our fermentation cellar. We've got 60 barrel tanks, those are the shorter ones right here, and we've got 120 barrel tanks along that wall. And for reference, a barrel is 31 US gallons.
Wow.
So it's a lot of volume, a lot of beer coming through here.
Yeah, a lot of beer comes through here, out there, and into your happy guests.
That's right, yeah.
So where do you make that seltzer that we had?
It's actually a similar process, but both beer and seltzer all start right over here in our brew house. This is called the hot side of brewing over here. So all the hot processes take place in these vessels right here.
Okay. Wow. Should we check it out?
Yeah, let's take a walk around.
Okay. Walk me through the process. Where do we start? How does it happen?
Everything kind of starts here in the hot side brew house.
Okay.
When you hear brewers talk about a brew house, sometimes you might think about like a pub setting, but what we're actually talking about are these vessels right here.
Oh.
And we have a mash tun, a boil kettle, and a whirlpool vessel, and they all do different things. The mash tun is kind of where the magic happens. So mashing is simply steeping crushed malted barley grains with hot water for a period of time.
Oh.
That's it. But
I could do that.
Yeah, anybody can do it, right?
Oh.
But what's happening is a really fascinating chemical reaction in there where there are naturally present enzymes in the malted barley that are getting converted by heat from the water into sugars that the yeast can metabolize into CO2 and ethyl alcohol.
Okay.
So all we're doing is making sugar water. That's what mashing is.
Oh my gosh, that's easy enough.
Yeah. So
Oh
then
my
we want to take that sugar water, we want to put it in our boil kettle. So we transfer it through a pump in a series of pipes. And then that's where we add hops, and we boil it. Because boiling has this cool effect when you add hops, where boiling actually makes the alpha acids, the bittering compounds in hops, exponentially more bitter. So, and it depends on how long of a contact time those hops have with the boil that determines how bitter it's going to be.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it depends on the kind of hops too then, right?
Right, exactly. Because there are hundreds of varieties of hops out there, and it depends on what you're going for in your recipe, what style you're brewing. You can get any number of different flavors, bitterness, aromas from the hops that you use. But generally, the longer contact time that the hops have with the boiling liquid, the more bitter it's going to be.
Huh.
And then the shorter contact time, so if you're adding hops toward the end of a boil, you're going to get a lot of those essential oils that manifest in like those really nice flavors and aromas that you come to like in like an IPA, like a lot of those citrusy flavors.
For a layperson like myself, can you give an estimate on how many minutes, you put the hops in there? Is it a matter of minutes? Is it a matter of hours? What are we talking?
Well, our typical boil is 90 minutes. And for any beer that we want to add a bittering charge to, we're going to add those hops right at the beginning of the boil. So it'll have 90 minutes of contact time.
Okay. Switching over now to the seltzer water, what are the differences in that process?
So the differences are we don't mash anything.
Okay.
We're using sugar, putting it directly into water in the boil kettle, boiling it to sterilize, just like we would a beer.
Okay.
And then we're actually going to cool it down, just like we do a beer, and ferment it with wine yeast in our cellar here in one of our fermenters.
Okay. And how do you infuse it with that lime flavor, that mango flavor?
Yeah, so that happens toward the end of the process when we send it over to our bright tank. And the bright tank is where you send clear, bright liquid for packaging.
Oh.
Those are the tanks you carbonate in.
Over here?
Yep.
Behind us? Okay.
And then we add the fruit flavor extract in those vessels, carbonate it, and then package it.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have another one of those beers. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go grab one now.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you later.
All right, sounds good.
So, this is Bauhaus. Bauhaus Brew Labs is one of the original players in this expanding network of breweries and distilleries in Northeast Minneapolis. Proving once again, you don't have to go too far to see that the Twin Cities are an absolute playground for both beer enthusiasts and for newcomers like myself. Like the German art house, this place has an intentionality behind everything you see, including, of course, the beer. Check out Bauhaus's website. There's always something social going on. And there's absolutely a spot at the bar for everyone in this beer community. With the beer light to guide us, we are going to learn about this amazing beverage together as I tour tap rooms in the Twin Cities, investigating local breweries. The tap rooms that we see today wouldn't be here without the existence of over 1 million American homebrewers, diligently honing and refining their recipes year after year. It's that labor of love, or really leisure of love, for soaking up the suds in new and creative ways that drives the evolution of the craft.